All right, let's talk about 3 competitive tricks that we need to stop right now. A competitive trick is anything that is being done in color guard or regulation drill specifically to take advantage of a judge who maybe doesn't know any better to add extra sharpness or extra pop to movements where it is otherwise not specified or required, all in an effort to get more points by looking better. The first one is stomping our feet as they come online, whether that's a facing movement or whether that's coming to a halt, stomping the foot down into the ground with the express purpose of making more sound to add a pop of audio to the visual flash of moving, right, or halting. This is a competitive trick designed to take advantage of judges. Now, how do we know that, right? Stomping is not described in any American drill manual. It's really more of a hallmark of Commonwealth drill, if you're familiar with that, right? It's not to say that there won't be incidental sound as the heels come online and strike together, or incidental sound as the foot is moving in. But when you see a team or when you perform that movement and you specifically and with intention drive that foot down into the ground, we're just trying to add some flash and some pop. We want to avoid that at all costs. It's such an easy way for a pro judge or a well-briefed judge to tell that we're outside the bounds of authenticity. Next is right along the same lines, right? We're talking about changing directions, be it to the rear march, or left flank, right flank, or column movements. Specifically, that last step before we execute the pivoting motion, right? A lot of times we'll see rear march and the foot gets slapped down on the ground as hard as it possibly can, or we'll see column right, march, and that foot will be ground into the ground with extra force to make that sound, and it'll sound really nice because it'll be like boom and boom and boom. But this is a competitive trick. We had an instructor actually recently come up to us and say, well, show me in the manual where it says I can't do that. Well, okay, let's talk about it. Drill manuals are not meant to be read in light of what we cannot do. Otherwise, they would be very full of all kinds of absurd things, like you can't pivot while eating Oreos or while wearing a scuba suit, right? It would be absurd. Drill manuals tell us how to execute the movement in the most characteristic manner with the authenticity of the intent behind it, right? And so what does that mean? Well, if we look at the drill manuals, all of them tell us about what to do with that last step before a direction change, be it take one more 12, 15, 24, 30-inch step. They all tell us to take one more step. And unless we've been marching around like that the entire time, right? Or unless we've been marching by slapping our feet on the ground, which some teams do, and we shouldn't do that either, right? Unless we've been doing that, there is no way that a slap step or an extra loud dig step would count as fulfilling the authenticity requirement of take one more step and then. So when we see that happening, be it on flanks, columns, or rear marches, we know that that team is trying to take advantage of adding that extra pop of sound to appeal to judges who maybe don't know or aren't familiar with the exact verbiage in those drill manuals. So it's a competitive trick, right? The last one is what we would call hyper or over standardization. Hyper standardization. Now, first of all, standardization is generally a good thing, right? It's the hallmark of good competitive drill. We want to be uniform, we want to be precise, we want to be standardized. Hyperstandardization happens when we go beyond or we modify what the drill manuals tell us to get even more standardization than what's described. And I'll give you 2 common examples. The first one, let's talk about open ranks march for the Air Force and for the Marine Corps. It tells us open ranks march, the base squatter element executes dress right dress, take your number of steps, execute dress right dress, right? Hyperstandardization would have that team, instead of doing it, by element or by squad as it describes, waiting until the last squatter element has finished their movement and then popping the arms up all together, which means the base squatter element probably did something like open ranks march, 1, 2, 3, and didn't actually move on the command of execution march. Therefore, everyone's arms came up together. And I think the idea of this is, therefore, the judges will be overwhelmed with being impressed with how precise the team was. But at the end of the day, it's an example of taking what's in the manual and distorting it to make sure that it looks better and therefore could score more points. That makes it a competitive trick. I'll give you one more. Column movements for the Army and for the Marine Corps. Air Force friends, you guys get to call forward, harch, and then you get to step off. No problems there. But for the Army and the Marine Corps, what we see a lot of times is the column movement command happens, right? The team starts to go into the half step. And then at some number of counts, usually it's like 14 to 16, and yes, we are counting, and yes, we can tell when you're doing this. One of two things is going to happen. Either the outboard squatter element is going to come out, or outboard squat, I guess, is going to come out and start half stepping, which they shouldn't do because the half step is supposed to cease when the entire rank is abreast, meaning that the outside squad should never half step. We're all going to come up. Everyone's going to pick up a half step, and then we're all on a certain count. We're all going to step out of that half step, or one person, or maybe everyone is going to stomp their feet, and then we're going to step out and transition from the half step to the quick time step, right? But it's all going to happen at the same time. That's an example of hyperstandardization because that's not what the manuals describe us doing. And the only reason we would do that is because it looks better to do it all together. It looks sharper, and we think we're going to gain more points. At the end of the day, regulation drill, color guard drill is a competition in our setting, yes. But the goal is not just to win the competition. We always say that the best regulation or color guard team is going to be the highest executing or highest achieving team from amongst the teams who are the most authentic, meaning that authenticity and performing in accordance with your stated service manuals is a huge factor. And all three of these tricks that we've talked about, stomping the feet, slapping the foot down on pivots, and over standardizing or hyper standardizing something, these things all fly in the face of that authenticity. And at the end of the day, they are just designed to take advantage of people who don't know better, right? Integrity is supposed to be a core value for all of us, and these tricks lack that integrity. We should stop doing them. We should tell our judges if we're hosting a meet to brief and specifically look for those items. And these are things that would make drill more authentic and better across the country, no matter what region we're in. Now, if you would love to have a pro trainer or judge take a look at your team and give you actionable feedback that you can use at your very next practice, hit up globaldrillteamchallenge.com right now. Your first videos in every event, every school year are free. So make sure you take advantage of that to get the best feedback possible. Of course, check out jrtcdrillteamtraining.com for all of your education and training needs. And if you want to find out where we'll be judging next or pick up some great resources on judging, jrotcdrillmeetjudging.com is the place to go.